2020 is over! What a shitty year! We made it! Come here, man! Yes, but is it really over? This year I felt like everyone was celebrating super happily the end of the year and the beginning of a new year, and that is surely comprehensible because 2020 has been certainly a challenging year for everyone and everything really. And also I think that the thing got so much exaggerated because it was almost like cheering for the same soccer team, you know, everyone was on the same side here. So people felt like everyone else would have understood them in this feeling that they have. Yeah, I honestly struggled to understand it deeply. And I got the feeling that I was the only one around. And not because I think that the problems that we've had in 2020 are not over, although I think that they are not over. But as you know, if you know me a little bit, I am an optimist and I like to look at the bright side of things. So no, I wasn't particularly happy about this New Year's Eve because I think 2021 is gonna be a shitty year as well. On the contrary, it's just because I think that 2020 hasn't really been a shitty year. Don't get me wrong here, I'm not bragging about the fact that for me 2020 has been an amazing year while other people were suffering. I've paid attention to other people's opinions and conversation in these past few days, and I know that for the majority of the people 2020 hasn't in the end been so bad. I'm sure many of us have accomplished so many great things in the past year and our lives went on even if we were under lockdown or under limited possibilities on how to develop our life. Many relationships were consolidated, many relationships started brand new, kids were born, couples got pregnant, people got their dream job and so on. Of course, there were many people unfortunately who have had to face the fact that they've lost family members because of this virus that is circulating. But I'm sure that even those people have had other very happy moments in 2020. I believe that the quality of your life is not only objective as it is, but it's also about how you perceive it and how you think your year went. The reason why I don't see my 2020 as a shitty year is just because I decided to not focus on the negative sides of 2020. I'd rather highlight my achievements, my happy moments, my good things that happened in my year, which doesn't mean that I ignore that the bad negative things happened, of course. Those negative things are a great gem for life, let's say, are a great treasure of experiences that you can learn from. If you mainly focus on those things, then of course your perception is that your year has been shit. And then you arrive at this point in the switch between 2020 and 2021, and you have these high expectations for 2021. You think it's gonna be an amazing year because it cannot be worse than 2020, right? Well, I think it could be, because what happens in your life doesn't only depend on the external events. On the opposite, I think that it mainly depends on how you manage your life, how you control the things that you can do, and how you feel about yourself and about the situation you're in. So on one side, I certainly understand all these celebrations and this being happy because a difficult year is over and having hope for the new year to bring some more brightness and more joy. I also understand the fact that it almost became a trend to say these things while wishing Happy New Year's. For example, many of my subscribers or people who wish me Happy New Year on my channel, they added, finally, this terrible year 2020 is over. I hope we will all have a better 2021. I understand that this is also a social thing that you say because you know that you will be understood, because we are all on the same boat in the end, right? We are all into this pandemic. So if you highlight the fact that 2020 has been shit, probably everyone will understand you. It's not about the fact that your life has been a disaster because of your choices, but it's more about external events that nobody could control. So I understand everything, but I have one worry, that this attitude could become something more than just, like a facade or a social trend or, something frivolous. I worry that who keeps saying 2020 has been such a bad year, 2021 will for sure be better, is just waiting for the external events to make their life and their year better, which totally crashes with my perception of life, really. I'm not saying that the external world doesn't affect our life. Of course it does, and it influences very much our life and the decisions that we can make. But at the same time, I think it's very important to be aware of the fact that once you have a certain amount of possibility denied to you because of external events, if you stay attached to the fact that you cannot do those things, you will just feel angry. And these feelings of yours are not constructive at all, because those are things that you cannot do anything about, really. They do not depend on you. So the way I think is that I rather focus on the things that I can do, the things that I can control, and therefore my feelings at that point will be constructive because I can do something about that. So my wish for you all this year is that you don't fall in the trap of feeling like a victim of the external events, because that doesn't make you any good, really. I wish you to be able to see also the positive things that happen in your life, even in difficult times, like it's been for everyone this past year, and use the negative aspects of your life just for your learning process to have a better life next year. But remember, whether your experiences are good or bad, you decide, not someone else and not the external world. You decide if the lockdown of 2020 has been a positive experience for you or a negative one. I'm sure that even the most negative people, the most pessimistic ones, have certainly experienced some great happy moments during the lockdown that they couldn't have experienced if the lockdown wasn't there. I am 100% sure about this. Another point that I wanted to bring up is the fact that the events of 2020 are not over, and they are probably not gonna be over in the whole 2021. We don't know, they can be over within 2 months, or they can be over within 5 years. We really don't know. I see many people constantly thinking about when things are gonna go back to normal. I get people every day texting me, what are you going to do when this pandemic will be over? Will you be going back to travel? Or they tell me, oh, I can't wait to go back to normal so that I can start traveling again. Or I can't wait for this nightmare to be over. They call it nightmare. How can you call a year of your life nightmare? I mean, of course, there are certain coincidences that can happen, and one person could be so unlucky that so many negative things and overwhelming things happen in his life in a short period of time, and then to that person I can say, okay, now you can grieve, you can be pissed, you can be angry. But that's not the case for the average of us. If all that happened to you in 2020 was that you were in a country that went into full lockdown, and maybe you lost your job, or worse, you lost your business, and maybe you lost your grandma because she was already weak and she died of COVID, well, that surely hasn't been an easy year for you. But at the same time, you can focus on the fact that you have the chance to start a whole new life. I am sure you've certainly learned something about life and death from the death of your dear grandma. So your 2020 in that case has been for sure a year full of grief. But at the same time, if you look at it on the long term, into 10 years of your life, you might realize that it could also be that most significant year of your decade, that year that allowed you to find your soulmate, to start your dream business, or to find your dream job. And maybe you thought that you had your dream job already, but you never know what the future reserves us. So I want to really invite you to consider this pandemic not only as a limitation, but also as a richness. Sometimes if we have less options in our lives, it's easier to make the right decisions. You know what I mean? And the pandemic is exactly what it's doing to us right now. It's just limiting our options. It's not suffocating us. And I think that this limitation can be useful for us to be able to make better decisions. So if you start to see even the pandemic in this more positive light, I think it will be very beneficial for your 2021, because we are not sure how long this pandemic is gonna stay with us, probably for much longer time. So instead of keep wondering when will this all be over and we're going to go back to normal, I suggest you to rather embrace the situation we are in and make the best out of it. Hi, I'm Mary Jane. This is my channel, What a Shame, Mary Jane. In 2020, I was forced to revolutionize my entire life, really, and this channel as well, since it was a travel channel. So from now on, you can expect to see more cultural comparisons between the United States, the country where I'm living now, and Italy, my country of origin. Other videos about philosophy of life, like this one, and travel vlogs, obviously around the area where I'm living. So if you're interested in what you're seeing, please turn on the notification for the channel. And if you're interested to see more, please consider to make a pledge on my Patreon page, because I make extra videos there on a weekly basis. I wish you all a happy 2021.